Hello and welcome to another Smaulgld live stream. It is the 1st of April. It is April Fool's Day, and we had a little fun with that earlier in the day. We're going to talk about the fun we had with our April Fool's post. I had been contacted by Beitu Wong and Mohammed Boholoni, and I had received some very interesting news, and I reported on it. And it turned out all to be a hoax, but of course it did piss off a few people, and we're going to see why. A little later on, we're going to go through some of those comments. We've got some crypto stories. Maybe the crypto winter is over. We got some bold predictions coming out again. We've got some updates on Chinese debt. A couple of good moronicas for tonight. And of course, the top story of the evening, Kazakhstan. Central Bank of Kazakhstan adds gold to reserves. Again, we've got some nice looking charts to show you later on in the program. Before we get started, I do want to alert you to a deal. If you're still inclined to stack silver, there is a deal going on where you can get a free Austrian silver Philharmonic. Now, if you're not familiar with that coin, I'm going to show it to you. And this comes to us from our friends at SD Bullion. And the silver Philharmonic is made by the Austrian Mint. And there's a picture of it right there. It doesn't really do it justice. And it is a sovereign coin, so it's not around. And the good thing about the Austrian Philharmonics, they're already cheaper than Canadian Maple Leafs and American Silver Eagles, but they have the advantage of being a sovereignly minted coin. So you see on the front there, you've got that big pipe organ at the concert hall for the Vienna Philharmonic. And then on the back, you got a bunch of instruments you can see that are used in the Philharmonic. You got 4 violins, a cello, a harp, bassoon, a French horn, a flute. And then, of course, it says silver. You can't see that in that picture there. Oh, yeah, you can. You can see it right up at the top there. It's all in German. Nice looking coin. But anyway, you can get one free 2019 silver Philharmonic coin, and it says click for details. Well, the details are, I'll give you the link right now, or you can go over to Smaulgld.com and you'll see the big banner ad there. And what happens is you click on that and it will take you to SD Bullion. You can get that offer. And the way it works is you buy a roll of, here's the link right there, just go to Smaulgld.com. And you get one free. So basically, not one free, you pay for 19 and you get the final coin in the roll for free. So in a sense, you're getting a 5% discount on that roll, which is pretty good given that silver Maple Leafs, Eagles, and Philharmonics right now are trading very low because the spot price of silver, which we're going to get into today, is still in the very low 15. So if you're interested in that deal, there's the link, SD Bullion, or go to Smaulgld.com and pick up the link. Click on the banner there. So it's a nice looking coin. And let me just give you some more information about the coin. They don't give you this over at SD Bullion, but I do because I have followed this coin for quite some time. It is made in Europe, and sales were pretty good for a while. And let me show you a chart. They came out with the coin in 2008. When silver was starting to take off because of the financial crisis. And here's a chart. And sales were pretty robust the first year. Unfortunately, in many European nations, they have VAT, value-added tax on silver, and it really crimps the sales of it. But you can see at points, they were doing some fairly robust sales of the Austrian Silver Philharmonic, peaking in 2011. What, 17.8 million ounces? They used to have to call up the mint to get these numbers. Then I'll print them on their website. But you could see recent years, though, last couple of years, no different than the fall off at the U.S. Mint. You had a bit of a semi-rally in 2015 where they sold 7.3 million. But last year, they only sold 2 million of them. It's not a cut against the coin. It's a fine-looking coin. It's two-sided, similar to the American Silver Eagle in that they don't change the design every year. They just change a different date. But it's an attractive design. You know, you've got the, I'll show it to you again. You've got the music hall on the one side and then the musical instruments on the other. Nice-looking coin. Anyway, you can buy a full roll and pay for of 20 and pay for 19. All right, let's move on now to April Fool's Day. Now, I've taken it down. We had a video up earlier, and it was bombshell, game over, must watch, secret Chinese Saudi documents prove gold and silver set to skyrocket. And you get all the drive-by people, they see this and they're searching for this. This catches their attention. They're looking for any excuse to hear why gold and silver may be set to skyrocket. Now, normally my videos get between 0 and 2 or 3 thumbs down. There's always somebody who doesn't like what's going on. But in this case, let me show you the ratio was pretty cool because I think 14 people managed to dislike it before I took it down. I take it down. In fact, I ran this video 2 years ago. It's just an April Fool's joke. I didn't run it last year. Many might have seen it for the first time this year. 917 people saw it, which is much higher than I normally get for a half a day's views, especially when no other website, it wasn't on SGT report, it wasn't picked up elsewhere. I think the Daily Coin did put it up for a while. But you can see 14 dislikes. And it's pretty obvious where the dislikes come from. People hear this, they get pissed off. Even though they know it's April Fool's, even though it says April Fool's at the end, they feel like maybe they've been had, not realizing that they've been had listening to this nonsense for years, but under the guise that it's true. Let me show you some of the comments. Some people picked up on it, but Roving Reporter noted an email from B2 Wrong. Well, that's a winner. That's right. The guy's name was Bei2 Wong. That meant B2 Wrong. That was the person who contacted me from Hong Kong. And I asked him to think about the name of the person who sent the email from Saudi Arabia. And that was Mohammed Bohaloni. You could probably figure out the reference there. And yes, bombshell, game over, must watch. This is the key to getting visits. But you do attract, I think, the wrong crowd, the wrong audience. So I don't like to do it, but April Fool's, I did make an exception. Now here's a person who's picked up. He said, you said in 2017, highlighting that maybe he realizes that this is not an authentic pumper story here. And I had to tell him it's directionally correct from a pumper standpoint, but incorrect on the date. Don't you want to be rich? I mean, come on, who cares what the date is? It's a good pump. Guess he didn't appreciate it. He was able to see what was wrong with it. This guy was funny. This guy, he noted that the text that I showed was ancient Chinese writing, therefore making him not want to believe that I had received a for spies only confidential Chinese document. And the funny thing is, that is from Sun Tzu. That is language from the Art of War. So it is ancient Chinese writings. The hand of Sun Tzu. He should have appreciated it, but I guess he didn't, and probably gave it one of the 14 thumbs down. Now here's a guy. He's pretty clever. April Fool's. Obviously a hoax, but if it was true, I personally would keep quiet and accumulate at low prices. There's a stacker mentality there. You know, if it is true, just be on the lookout to stack. But my main point is knowing this is so obvious, driving a bus through this inside information by just regurgitating old information. So the old information that he says I'm regurgitating, he actually probably believes that stuff. However, should you buy gold? That's your choice. Do your research. There's a very good value-added comment there. And there was some good inside jokes here from some of the Smaulgld mug stackers. To that comment, Universal Vibes TV said, yeah, I would buy Belgium first and then brag. Because in the video I said, once all this goes down, silver and gold will be so expensive and small amounts will let you buy small countries like Belgium. And Prashanti Girl chimed in, Universal Vibes, I was hoping to get Belgium before you, darn it. So lots of fun today with that. It's over. We're back now to just reporting the boring facts and data around gold and silver and economics and doing analysis, and it looks like a lot of people don't like that. 14 people. It got a lot of likes. It got a lot of views. But it does annoy people when I guess they feel that their pumping is being mocked. And indeed it is. That's the purpose of that. And some people actually fall for it. All right, let's move on to the gold and silver. Sorry, I said I wasn't going to mock anything, but here we go. Today was the first day of Basel III. That was going to set gold skyrocketing as commercial banks and central banks, which are not subject to Basel III, but didn't stop people from saying central banks are buying gold because of Basel III. No, they're not. Basel III allows commercial banks to mark-to-market gold on their balance sheets. Central banks have always done that. But anyway, first day of Basel III sends gold skyrocketing. No, it didn't. Gold went down today. Well, it's going to eventually, you see, because, yeah, there's always some story. And COMEX is going to default, and China's going to back the yuan with gold, and there's a silver shortage, and JP Morgan has 600 trillion ounces of silver, and whatever they're going to tell you to get you to buy or to subscribe to their newsletter. All right, so the first day of Basel sends gold where? Down $4.45. Gold now under $1,300 again. It's at $12.87, and in our after hours, it is at $12.87. In a rare day, silver went down less, almost, I think. Let's see if silver... So gold was down 0.34%, and silver was down 0.26%. Look at that. Silver wins by falling less today. Silver down 4 cents, down to 15.09, but because silver fell less than gold, guess what that did to the unsustainable, out of whack gold-silver ratio? Well, it plummeted. It went down to 85.37. So it was a bit of a decline in the gold-silver ratio, which the same people that tell you there's a silver shortage, and silver is so useful in our lives, and silver is rarer than gold, and central banks are buying gold because of Basel. All those people will tell you that this gold-silver ratio is unsustainable and out of whack. All right, any other stories for gold and silver before we move on to cryptos? Yes, very interesting. There was a story in CNN, and I think it was said something. Let me see if I can get the name of the story. CNN on silver. Yes. They asked, how much gold and silver should you own? For someone like me that can't afford to buy an ounce of gold, would it be just as good owning several ounces of silver versus a half an ounce of gold? And I guess you can ask the question, or a tenth of an ounce of gold. Yeah, gold is pricey. I mean, even a tenth of an ounce, you're paying $140, $150 for a tenth of an ounce. And that is a good question. Now, the article wasn't in depth, and it didn't talk about the gold-silver ratio in depth and go into history, but he did make a point that I have been making, and this is probably the first time I agree with CNN probably on anything, but he said, the quote was, so if you want to buy silver, don't necessarily expect it to perform in tandem with gold. And the last 100 years, you see that it doesn't perform in tandem. It actually depreciates versus gold. Silver has been depreciating versus gold on a straight line basis for 10 years. The gold-silver ratio has gone from 50 to 60 to 1, to 70 to 1, to 80 to 1, to 85 to 1. And he makes the point that I make, they have different purposes. I use the word, I always say they have different demand profiles. And that leads to the concept that there isn't some type of 16 to 1 or 15 to 1 or 9 to 1 ratio, because 9 to 1 is the relative rarity argument. That's irrelevant. Relative rarity doesn't determine price in anything. Could only if the two items are the same. Well, then, but they're not. It's the same with the 15 to 1 and 16 to 1 ratios. Those were the ratios set by the United States government when both gold and silver were used as money, and therefore they had a apples to apples comparison because they were both used as money. One was the expensive money, one was the cheap money. But now that neither of them are used in that fashion, they run on their own separate demand profile. So interesting to see CNN writer say the same thing. Okay, cryptocurrencies. Let's move on now. First, let's take a look at our prices. Well, let me tell you what they've been noting here as we get to the prices. CoinDesk says Bitcoin price posts biggest quarterly gain since late 2017. In late 2017 was when cryptocurrencies put their final leg up on that massive surge in price. And it really was the last month, I think, when Bitcoin had started the year at around $1,000, moved up to $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000, and then it just went from $8,000 to $20,000 in the course of the last 6 weeks, I think, of the year. But right now, they're also saying, what else? Litecoin, same thing, had its biggest first quarter ever. And there's the Litecoin, up 100%, which was the most it had ever gone up in any quarter. And right now, Bitcoin is up 1% to 4140, solidly now above the 4,000 mark. Ethereum, Seamus's favorite coin, at 141.06, that's flat. XRP is at 31 cents, that's up 1%. Litecoin at $60.36, up 0.22%. Bcash hovering around 167, flat. Stellar Lumens up to 11 cents now, up 2.36%. Ethereum Classic up to 481, that's flat. Zcash, big mover today, up 6.51% to 62.45. Dash made a similar 5% increase. And AND's BAT, Basic Attention Token, down to 28 cents, but that one has surged recently from 19 cents to 30 cents, down about 2%. And Dash is up, $113, up 5%. All right, in other crypto stories, what have we got? Well, here's what we're talking about. These big predictions. This guy, Cornell professor, says crypto is going to be going to past $100 trillion market cap. That'd be about a tenfold increase where it is. It's not just Bitcoin, but all the whole ecosystem. And he's mentioning things, making it Bitcoin friendly, better interfaces. I'm sure things like backed, things like Lightning networks, or all types of things, better security, better storage. And he says, we reached 700 billion with inherently unscalable technologies. Crypto winter will end. We will surpass 1 trillion when we figure out how to scale, how to build non-custodial solutions, how to layer apps, Lightning Network, that people want to use that bring net positive outcomes to society. A lot of general platitudes there, but directionally a lot of people think that that's what might happen. This guy thinks $150,000 Bitcoin price could blitz behind 150,000 during next bull cycle in 2023. They're all using past this prologue, showing that when the price goes up and then it goes down and then it goes up, but each time it goes up to a certain point and then drops 80%, and then it goes up even more, and then it drops 80% from there, then it goes up even higher than the time before that, and then it drops 80%. And now they're saying that, it's gone up to 20,000, dropped down to 3,000. Now it's going to be going up to $150,000. Believe that when I see it. All right. This I thought was funny. I never thought of this one before. I was tweeting about Backed, and someone said, that's a silly name for a company. It sounds too much like bacteria, which I never really thought of. But then I was thinking, bacteria is kind of nasty. You don't want something to sound like it's bacteria. Like you wouldn't name your kid bacteria. But then I realized viral has a positive connotation in many circles. You say, I want this story to go viral. But you never hear them say, we want this story to go bacterial. So I guess poor bacteria doesn't have the same cachet as virus, because if something goes viral, they say that's good, but they don't use the term bacterial. All right, let's see what else we have. Again, on the regulation side, SEC wants to hire a crypto security advisor. Just making the point that the people are saying, oh, they want to shut it down. No, they don't. If you think they want to shut it down, you haven't been paying attention for 3 or 4 years. Countless SEC pronouncements, countless CFTC pronouncements. They're working towards ETFs. They're working towards approving back. They're working towards an entire regulatory structure. Anyone who tells you that they want to shut it down, or I just can't see how they'll allow it, is because you understand where they're coming from. Someone says, I just can't see, or it wouldn't make any sense to me that, yeah, because you're not paying attention. And you've already dug in your assumption, and now you base your opinion on the assumption, and therefore you can conclude there's nothing else that can happen other than they're going to shut Bitcoin down because it is a threat. And they will not, fiat currencies will not allow cryptocurrencies to exist. I'm not going to get into whether it's moronic, but I will say it doesn't have to be a threat, and that governments can view cryptocurrencies as a source of revenue, a source of taxes, source of tracking. Doesn't have to be a threat. But once you decide it is a threat and it has to be a threat, then you say, well, then they're going to cut it back. And anyone who says they are not going to, then therefore they are going to shut it down. And Bitcoin is going to zero. And then they don't have to think anymore. They've already made the determination. They're not going to listen anymore. All right, Bitcoin bear. Now, there's a lot of stories here. Bitcoin bear market over. Yeah, okay. Well, it is kind of, I suppose, by the fact that it did go up in the first quarter and for the first time since 2017. Well, let's move on from crypto and on to China. Okay. 2 things about China. I've been saying this for years. Not that I've been saying it means that it's right, but it is right. Not that China is going to crush the dollar, but all these gold, they have this narrative. China is going to crush the dollar. They are tired of the dollar hegemony. End of dollar hegemony. Introducing a multipolar world. And the SDR and China are going to just drivel people insisting China's got gold. They have gold. They're going to roll it into a stadium. Then it's going to be game over and game changer. And China is smart because they like gold. And Americans are dumb because they don't. And Sun Tzu says this. And on and on and on about China to crush the dollar. The United States has so much debt, and it is unsustainable. That one too. But let's take a closer look at this chart here from Tony Nash on who's got a lot of debt. Something I've been telling all along. Look at that debt growth. China debt GDP reaching 300%. And it used to be, yes, but Chinese people are smart, and their households have no debt. Not anymore. Look at that blue line in the middle there. They're piling on too. They got buying cars, they're buying apartments in those ghost towns, non-financial corporates, government, financial sector, all debt explosion at a far greater rate than any nation on earth. But China is going to trust their dollar because they are smart and they are buying gold. They are buying gold hand over fist. And Sun Tzu says, yep, there you go, 300%. Now, it's not bad enough that they have all that debt. But look at this. The debt they have is horrible. Non-performing loans, 2 trillion yuan, substandard loans, and doubtful loans, all on the upswing. So not only are they adding debt, the debt that they have is becoming more and more unpayable. Not good. Not good at all. Full stop. And now, before we get to Kazakhstan, it's time... Uh-oh. We got a moron here.
Presenting the distinguished international news commentator and foreign correspondent,
Smaulgld. This has been an extraordinary week in world affairs.
No, I told Hillary Clinton that that's moronic.
Last night we took Fox News for task for saying that Trump wanted to shut down the borders of the Mexican countries. Now, we notice a lot of times that media is essentially either moronic, they do things either intentionally, unintentionally, that just show that they don't know what they're talking about, or they purposely try to manipulate what's going on. Now, Joe Biden finds himself at the center of I call it a groping scandal. No one's calling it a groping scandal. And you can see the different types of way that the media is reacting to Joe Biden, who has been in plain sight. And everyone will tell you, just Google creepy Uncle Joe, and you'll be treated to hours of videos of Joe leaning into women, groping little girls. I mean, it's apparent. It's hiding in plain sight. And here's AP saying Biden never meant to make women feel uncomfortable. But no one's talking about all the pictures of the children where the little girls are pulling away and he's standing over them and kissing them. But that's not the moronic part. Now that we've got it set up here. And then, of course, someone, I think she was a lieutenant governor she ran for lieutenant governor in Nevada, and Biden was there to help her in 2014. And now she's saying that he acted inappropriately towards her. And now a Connecticut woman is saying in 2009, same thing. And yeah, I mean, no. The thing is with these accusations, you can point to countless videos of him or still photographs of him doing the things that these people say that he did. Now the question is this inappropriate, or does this rise to the level of something worse than that? I don't know, but it is endemic. You can see it if you just Google creepy Uncle Joe or creepy Joe Biden. You do see a lot of this, but that's not what the Moronica is. This is moronic. This is a Washington Post story, and I didn't even bother reading. I don't think I can read it because I think you have to subscribe, and I'm not interested in doing that. But here's how they decide to frame the issue. Joe Biden's affectionate physical style with women comes under scrutiny. Now, isn't that a special way of describing what Joe Biden does in all the videos probably all of you have seen? His affectionate physical style. No. Not equals groping. I mean, this is groping. There's no two other words for it. The two other words they've tried to use are affectionate and physical style. They are not. That is not affectionate physical style. He may think it's affectionate and physical style, but what about the women and children who don't seem to think that it is? But I did save the best for last, and I don't think I've ever included Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez in any of the Moronicas. Why? Because it's so obvious, and so many people are always lampooning her, and it's not really fair to pile on, and it's not really very funny. But this one, because it's in my area, the Constitution, let's have a listen to what Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez had to say about, well, let's just have a listen to her.
When our party was boldest, the time of the New Deal, the Great Society, the Civil Rights Act, and so on, we had and carried supermajorities in the House, in the Senate. We carried the presidency. They had to amend the Constitution of the United States to make sure Roosevelt did not get reelected. And there were so many extraordinary things that were happening in that time.
That's enough for her. So she's saying that they had to amend the Constitution to stop Roosevelt from getting reelected. Him dying is what prevented him from getting reelected. He died in 1945, shortly after the Yalta Conference, and Harry Truman assumed the reins of the presidency as vice president. And the reason it's moronic is it's not even close to being true. As we know, or anyone knows who pays half attention, that the 22nd Amendment was ratified in 1951. And it says no person shall be elected to the office of presidency more than twice. Okay, well, Roosevelt was gone in 1944. Death prevented him from getting reelected. And Congress passed a bill in 1947 that essentially was the guts of what ended up being approved by an amendment to the Constitution, which requires a much more elaborate process than just congressional and Senate approval. But again, she's just making it up. We had to amend the Constitution to stop old FDR. All right, she gets a pass. She's trying hard. Who cares about facts? All right, let's take a look now. What's going on with Kazakhstan? Well, they had gold again. Now for like the 77th month in a row. Wasn't a lot, but it's never a lot. It's always about 3 or 4 tons, and they're up to 356 tons. The interesting thing is that they've really been adding it every month for over 6 years, something no other country has done. This isn't some new thing because of Basel III, or maybe it is, but no, it's not, because central banks have always added gold and marked it to market. What this coincides with, this Kazakhstan gold buying binge, is this: the increase in their gold mining. Makes sense. They've got a horribly performing currency. They've got a lot of gold in their backyard. So when they mine 85 tons a year, like they did the last couple of years, 2018, still thinking of the FDR period, 2018, 2017, they added 40 and 50 tons respectively. So they've got the gold, they've got a bad currency, and makes sense. So now about 45 to 50% of their overall reserves are held in gold. Tomorrow I'll have up on the website some more details about the Kazakhstan Central Bank financial position, the amount of gold they hold, and the amount of overall reserves. And let's see where that puts them. I mean, they are, as far as GDP goes, a tiny country, large landmass, but they are in 13th place now. I mean, next year they should pass Portugal. They keep it up, I mean, they'll break the top 10. I mean, all you got to do is get to India. It'll take a couple of years, but they seem to be the one country other than Russia that's been adding consistently. People's Bank of China just started adding again in December. They'll probably continue to add for a while now. But none of these countries here. Belgium hasn't added gold. Turkey buys and then sells it. Austria's been stuck at 280. Spain at 282. Lebanon's been stuck around 287. United Kingdom's been stuck at 310 for about 25 years, maybe a little longer. They sold some of their gold, and more than half of the gold in 2001 or 2. Saudi Arabia hasn't been adding any. None of these companies, none of these countries' central banks are adding any gold. Germany sells about, I don't know, 30, 40 tons a year. I think it's less than that. I did an article on it. They sell, maybe it's less than that, maybe 6 or 7 tons a year to their own government so they can make coins, but they don't replace it. Italy and France don't add. In fact, we saw that story the other day where Mario Draghi was saying that countries in the EU have to talk to him or the ECB before they sell or buy any of their gold. They can't manage their gold reserves on their own. Japan hasn't added any. Netherlands hasn't added any. India just started adding. So most of the countries in the top 20 are not moving on up or moving down. They're pretty much flat. And Switzerland used to have over 2,000 tons of gold. They sold a lot of it when they joined the IMF. So go figure. All right, I think that's all we have. Oh, one other thing is just we talked about Kazakhstan and its gold production. We see a similar thing now with Russia. Russia adds a lot of its gold that it mines to reserves. You can see last year they added 86% of their mined gold to reserves. 271 tons added out of 314 mined. 86% of their mined gold in 2017 went to the central bank, 224 tons out of 260. Anyway, you could see all these charts on the Smaulgld website. So now we're going to get to see what you guys are saying. And don't forget that silver special. I do want to thank people who took advantage last night of the mugs half price special. Sold a good number of mugs, and tonight's special, remember, we don't have Google AdSense or whatever it is, YouTube, so you don't have to flip through commercials before you watch this. So we fund entirely by donation, and if you are going to buy precious metals, Smaulgld gets a small commission. I don't know if I said that. I should have said that at the beginning, but that's all. You know that. That's why I promote it. So if you do buy those Austrian Philharmonic coins through the Smaulgld links, Smaulgld will get a small commission. And let's see what you guys are saying in our comment section. here. All right, let's get rid of that. And let's get to the comments. Got a picture of Ocasio. I got to get rid of her. I don't want to see that. Okay. Anne is here and Pablo is here. Maple Hedgehog is here. Anne bought a mug last night, it sounds like. Travel mug, half price. Yes. Maple Hedgehog. I wish I had a monster box of every sovereign coin there is. Well, let's go through them. So that would be Silver Eagles, Canadian Silver Maple Leafs, Austrian Silver Philharmonics, Perth Mint, the different variety silver coins. If you're going to do bullion, I would say the Kangaroos. Mexican Silver Libertads. What else do we got in the sovereign? I don't think you can count like Somalian or Korean stuff, but I guess you could. Korean has some coins. Oh, the British coins. The silver, I don't know what they're called, but they have silver bullion coins that they sell as well. All right. Jack says, during 08 recession, people had to sell their gold to make payments. Watch it happen again. Halfway through a huge drop. This is only if widespread layoffs occur. Das Silver, should we get some LC? I don't know what that means. I've been debating it. Where's Barry? Depends on the BTC LC ratio. Maple Hedgehog. Should I be going out to buy books and learn about Bitcoin? I watched a bunch of videos by Antonio Antonopoulos and dig the ideology of the tech. His latest book is about Ethereum, I think. All right. Coins AZ is here. Phil McCain says tulips. I don't know what he's talking about. DW. Looks like no country cares about how much debt they have. Especially China. In fact, this is my point all along. China runs on debt. China is a debt Ponzi scheme. They know it. They've admitted. They may have passed a Minsky moment. Their former president of the People's Bank of China said it. And before these tariffs, they were well aware of it, and they were trying to transition their economy away from debt-based projects and get into a service-style economy and try to offshore some stuff. They were trying to make that transition. They were worried that maybe they're trying to make it too late in the cycle. And then when this hit with the tariffs, and they're like, well, we got to goose the economy, so we got to do more infrastructure, more rails, maybe some local infrastructure like parking lots. And no, they are so knee-deep in it, and no one wants their debt, so it's not like they can issue it externally. So everyone says, oh, it doesn't matter, it's internal debt. Well, that's like saying that Social Security and Medicaid payments and Medicare payments don't matter because it's internal debt. Of course it matters. All right. Biden has been groping plain sight for years. Absolutely. What's weird is the media it's weird is the media reporting on. No, you know what's going on, where's Barry and Ann, is there are elements now in the Democrat Party that don't want him to be president. They want their own person. They look who's running. You've got Kamala Harris, Cory Booker, Klobuchar. I don't want to call her Pocahontas. I can't remember her name. Elizabeth Warren, the mayor of Indiana. The mayor of, I don't know. Anyway, there's enough people running. Bernie, how could I forget? You know, I'm running for president too, as I think it's disrespectful for people in the 1% to forget my name. Yeah, Bernie's running too. And there are people, they know they can win points by bringing down Joe Biden. They thought he was fine when he was vice president under Obama. He was okay. He could grope no wrong. But now there's a problem with him. All right. Carl Joseph DeMarco shows up and is surprised we're still here. Yep. DW, I guess when the DNC decided that Joe will not be their man, they turned their media dogs on. I don't know if they determined he won't be their man. I think they saw that he was leading in the polls. I think he and Bernie were number 1 and 2 with like 25%. I don't think they want him. All right, what else do we have? Maple. It looks like Kazakhstan set a budget to accumulate gold at a steady pace, made a plan, and stuck with it. Yep. And it's not hard to do when you have your own gold. So you don't have to worry about imports, changing prices. I mean, you got your own gold production. Carl Joseph DeMarco. Question is, why do these countries that are buying gold like mad buying? What are they hoping to achieve? Make Mike Maloney happy? Yeah, I don't know what they're doing. No, we do know why they buy it. It's in their backyard, and they have crappy currencies. And again, why wouldn't you have gold if it pretty much, at worst, tracks the price of the dollar? I mean, sometimes it's a little lower. Generally doesn't do worse than the dollar. Generally outperforms the dollar over time. And it clearly outperforms every other currency. So if you have it in your backyard, why not mine it and put on your reserves? Doesn't mean you can't also hold dollars or other currencies, but Greenspan said it best. He said gold is the best premier currency in the world, even outpacing the dollar. Well, and if you have access to it, I don't see why you wouldn't. I'm surprised. You know what? It's interesting. The better question is, why don't the ECB? Why doesn't the U.S. Treasury? Why don't countries in the ECB, Germany, France, Italy, Canada? Why doesn't Canada, Switzerland? Why don't they add gold? Because they all agree amongst themselves to limit their gold purchases and limit their gold sales. They're in on the fiat currency scheme, so that's why they don't do it. The most bold they get in these regimes, like the Netherlands, is they may repatriate their gold, but they're not adding any. Germany, same thing. They repatriate their gold, but they didn't add any. In fact, they, as I mentioned, they sell a few tons a year to have the government make coins. Jack says, all I see is debt has doubled every 10 years since 2000. The price of silver has also doubled every decade since 2000. Okay, if that's all you see. Silver Stacker for Life points out a very important point. Jack, stack mugs. They are set to skyrocket. Stack mugs. Game over and game changer. All right, I think I'm going to get going here unless you guys are going to hold me back. Let's see. Yep. All right. Well, I want to thank everyone for joining me this evening. A little short tonight, but we'll see you tomorrow night. Tomorrow I want to do, we have Indian gold imports, Indian silver imports to take a look at, and they're fairly interesting. So we'll get on those tomorrow night. And then we need to look at the U.S. Mint numbers, which are not moving anywhere. You would have thought they've sold out of silver eagles, that maybe someone would buy the gold eagles. And doesn't look like that the prior dated silver eagles are selling very well either. And then we'll look at the Perth Mint numbers as well. All right, everyone. Well, thank you very much for joining me tonight. And have a happy remainder April Fool's Day. And don't fall for any more tricks tonight. See you tomorrow.